Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, they say that the only real tradition worth keeping is the courage to start again. So here we are, back on this stage, not because we love repetition, but because we love revelation. Welcome to our new Spring TED Talk conference in English, where familiar faces bring completely unfamiliar questions. Firstly, let's talk about something we all feel rarely understand, our emotions. We often say, I can't help how I feel, but what if you could? What if your anger, anxiety, or joy came with a control panel and you held the remote? Offering a fresh perspective on emotional intelligence, a warm welcome to Amirkhanov Khamzat Ruslanovich, a third year of students International Economic Relations, and his talk, Your Feelings Have Settings, How to Learn Emotional Intelligence.
Good afternoon. My name is Khamzat Amirkhanov. I'm a third-year student of International Economic Relations. I want to start not with a theory, but with a story and a contradiction. There is a famous TV show, The Sopranos. At first glance, it is just a crime drama about a mafia boss, but in reality it explores much more deeper themes: power, family, identity, mental health, and the most important, the inability to deal with one's own emotions. And that is where my topic begins. I come from the Caucasus, and in a culture I grew up in, men are not taught to pay attention to emotions. What really matters is strength, control, endurance. We don't talk about how we feel. We deal with problems and we stay strong. And for a long time I thought this was enough. But then I realized something more important. Strength without understanding yourself is not really strength. And that is exactly what emotional intelligence is about. Let me go back to the main character of the show, Tony Soprano. He is powerful, respected, feared, and yet he suffers from panic attacks. He destroys his relationships, and he avoids his feelings. And that is not about he lacks intelligence, but because he lacks something more, something else, emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? It is your ability to understand your emotions, to manage them, to recognize them in others, and to react appropriately. It is not about being soft. It is about being aware and in control. Because emotions don't disappear when you ignore them. They accumulate and then they control you. So why does it matter? We live in a world of constant pressure, deadlines, information overload, competition. We are taught to think fast, to act fast, to succeed fast. But no one teaches us how to deal with stress, how to handle emotions, how to understand ourselves. And this creates a very big problem, because people don't fail because they are not smart. They fail because they lose control, make emotional decisions, can't build relationships. Tony Soprano is a perfect example. Externally, he has everything. Internally, chaos. He reacts with anger, he avoids his feelings, he destroys relationships. And at some point, his body literally stops functioning.
Papa, Tony!
Panic attacks. Think about it. A man who controls others, who has the biggest mafia empire in the whole United States of America, cannot control himself. So how to develop it? And here is the most important idea. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding and managing them, because emotions are signals. Anger, something is wrong. Fear, something matters. Stress, something needs attention. If you don't control them, they will control you. So how to develop it? The good news, it can be developed. Not in theory, but in real life. First of all, pause. Don't react immediately. Second, name your emotions. Be precise. Anger, stress, anxiety. And third, understand the cause. Is it the situation or something deeper? And the most important, use life as practice. Because every conflict, every difficult moment, every stressful moment, every difficult conversation is training. So let me finish with this. Where I come from, men are taught to be strong. But nowadays I realize that real strength is not about ignoring emotions. It's about understanding and managing them. Because if you ignore them, they will control you, just like they control Tony Soprano. So next time you feel something strong, pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling and why? And
Вот ты вообще кто такой, чтобы мои нервы беспокоить, а?
thank you.
Thank you, Khamzat. So our journey continues with a masterclass in turning negativity into fuel. Criticism, trolling, open hostility, we all face it. But what if hate was not an obstacle, but an advantage? What if the very people who doubt you could become the reason you succeed? Please welcome Gorodenker Alexandra Vladimirovna, a third-year student of international business, with her guide, How to Turn Hate into Your Advantage.
Before we start, let's do an honest experiment. I want you to close your eyes. If the answer is yes, just raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have ever not done something because you were afraid of what other people might think. If you ever thought, this person achieved everything at my age, or you look stupid, people are watching. You see, all people are the same. We all have the same problem. Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra Gorodenker. You may know me from my social media where I have over 470,000 followers in total. I started blogging at the age of 14, and of course, I never expected to face negativity from complete strangers. Unfortunately, internet grants people the freedom of anonymity. In today's world, it's easy to insult and remain invisible. I receive negative comments on a daily basis, yet in real life, only a few people have softly told me they didn't like something. However, there is a great trend that deals with haters.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows, as your heart shows, only time.
Today, we are going to talk about self-confidence and criticism. The things and people you're embarrassed about end up controlling your life. Many can't handle pressure, so it's crucial to sort this out. You will never truly know what others think of you. Every person is 99% focused on themselves. In reality, they might think about you for a minute and then they forget. If you are worried about other people's opinion, you're letting those opinions run your life. And what's worse, most of the time, these are the opinions from people you wouldn't even want to resemble. A person projects whatever is going on inside them. So whenever I encounter hate, I just take a deep breath and I thank myself for not being like that, because negativity only comes from those who are unhappy on the inside. You should accept criticism only from those people whose path you truly relate to. A hater always wants to get your reaction. Don't give them that satisfaction. We often talk about going to the gym, but real well-being starts from what we consume mentally. What content do you watch before going to bed? What do you talk about with your friends? If you eat mental junk food, you'll end up feeling awful. We are what we surround ourselves with. You are only affected by negative comments you actually believe in. For example, your green hair is ugly and makes you look ridiculous. Do you feel offended? No, because you know 100% that you don't have that green hair, and the same goes for criticism. If someone calls you stupid, it will only affect you if you believe that about yourself. So every time, if you don't have that inner backbone, it will knock you down.
If I start insulting you in another language, you feel nothing. They don't mean anything to you because it's you who puts the meaning to it. Me, I know what it means, but it doesn't matter how hard I scream them to you. You might start laughing. Take their words, take away the value of the words, and drop them to the floor. If you take that away, they fall to the ground. They never get to touch you. They are nothing.
Choose 2 activities, one for your body and one for your mind. When you become a more well-rounded person, you attract like-minded people and your self-esteem automatically rises. If you feel bored or scared alone with yourself, that's a red flag. You should start going on dates with yourself. Go without YouTube, without your phone, without feeling embarrassed, and I promise nobody is thinking how weird she's sitting here all alone by herself. If you start developing and hearing your own thoughts, you'll develop an inner backbone that nobody can ever break. We all have that inner critic that is living in our head. That voice that says, you're fat, you'll never make it. And here, we have to learn to be a little schizophrenic by starting to argue with ourselves. Give the critic a name and start arguing with it like it's a real person. Set your childhood photo as your phone wallpaper, and every time you want to start criticizing yourself, just look at that little cutie. Your job is to protect them. And third, the glass wall technique. If you can't walk away from the conversation, for example, it's your relative, just imagine a thick, solid wall between you and the offender. The words break and fall into the trash without reaching you. Your physical flaws are only noticed by people who have the same insecurity. Quite often, someone points out their flaw to me, and only then I notice it. So please don't do that. A person isn't beautiful because they fit some standard, but because they radiate confidence and positive energy. Notice, if I slouch, stop making eye contact, and start mumbling, your perception of me will instantly change.
Все нормально? Вы сильно ударились головой.
Стоп! Это я? Это я?
Да.
Я красотка! У вас какой номер?
Мастер пикапа.
Вы о чем?
Какой номер? Доставай мобильный, продиктуй номер.
Вы со мной разговариваете?
Я дважды не предлагаю. Почему вы считаете, что достойны этой должности? Понимаю, с моей внешностью я могла бы работать моделью. Но я хочу большего. Ох ты.
The only benchmark you should ever compare yourself to is your past self. Notice even your smallest victories so you can see your progress. Remember, if you don't leave your comfort zone, you stagnate. And the most important thing, stop chasing perfection. Perfection is something that marketers invented to make you feel insecure, so you buy status through clothes, makeup, and so on. Except that you have pimples, cellulite, or a crooked mouth. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a human. And remember, you're a whole, complete person, and you don't need a crowd's approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. And now to something we all chase. That is confidence. Actually, I was about to introduce Amin Zangiev, but no, he's not speaking today. Instead, someone who stepped in one day before the event. A third-year student of international economic relations. His presence here is already proof of his topic. Welcome to the stage, Mikhail Khanbalaev, with his speech, "Confidence is not a feeling, it's a decision."
Thank you very much. My name is Mikhail Khanbalaev, and I'm a third-year student of the Faculty of International Economic Relations. Well, and since many of you saw the initial poster for this event, you know that it should have been Amin Zangiev participating right now instead of me, but Wednesday night, he called me and gently asked me to participate and replace him. And at first I thought, well, that's a great opportunity to experience that feeling when hundreds of people watch you speak. But just after that, I remembered that I only had one day for preparation. And that's exactly how I felt at that moment. And, you know, I was thinking yesterday evening what topic to choose, how to write my speech, and how do I learn it in just one day. I only had a couple of hours to prepare for this speech. And then I thought like, well, the time, the size of audience is just an excuse for me. It is just an excuse, really. But what actually matters is my personality, whether I am courageous enough to take up this challenge, walk out, and speak without any preparation. I must be that person who takes up challenges and does it, acts, whatever the circumstances. And you know why I chose this topic is because it's not just my case. There are many people who want to engage in business, engage in trainings, engage in whatever activity they want, but they lack confidence. They want it all to be perfect. They want it all to be planned. And when it comes to action, they hesitate a lot. And that refers to many people, also in this room. That's why I decided to speak about it. And, you know, there is a great quote by a famous hockey player, one of the greatest hockey players ever, Wayne Gretzky, has said that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And I completely agree with him. And it's not that I mistook him with Stephen Curry, also a very famous basketball player. Stephen Curry is also the one who changed basketball because at the beginning of his career, he was criticized a lot for attempting a lot of three-pointers. These are shots from long distance. And after he has led his team to multiple championship wins in NBA, the younger generation started adopting his style of play, and that made him one of the greatest basketball players ever, and even all his critics and pundits changed their mind. And this mentality refers not only to ordinary people and basketball players who at first hesitate and they take up action, but also to key historical figures, like Napoleon. Did you watch the 2023 film Napoleon, released in 2023, starring Joaquin Phoenix, who played Napoleon himself? Well, many critics attacked this film, but what I personally liked about this film is that Joaquin Phoenix portrayed Napoleon not as an unfazed person, a perfect person, but a man who can be unaware of his future, who can be vulnerable, but still act, take up actions, and win. The first picture on the left, it is Napoleon sitting on his horse and waiting for the Battle of Toulon. He leads his soldiers to the siege of Toulon, and you can see in his face that he is very much unaware of what's going to happen in the near future. He is afraid, but he finds that bravery to step in as a captain, as a 24-year-old captain. He was rather young at that moment and still engaged in combat and won the battle that would bring him a worldwide fame. Now the right picture from the same film is the end of the film. He was already dethroned by French emperor and had to reunite with all his ex-subordinates, with all his ex-soldiers. And then he faced the 5th Regiment of France, which were ordered to kill Napoleon and get a reward for that. And you know what he did? He didn't hide, he didn't run away. He approached his previous soldiers that were in fact enemies in that moment. He ripped his shirt off with bare chest, approached them, looked them dead in the eyes, with them aiming their guns at him, and said, "If you want to shoot, go ahead." And guess what? Nobody did that. They all felt his confidence, they all felt his aura, you name it, but still, he didn't just survive that moment. All these soldiers joined him after that. And this also refers to many key historical figures like Julius Caesar, like Alexander the Great, Peter the Great, and others. And you might just think that, well, I'm not Napoleon Bonaparte, and I'm not that powerful to prove strong in all the crucial situations in my life, in all the critical situations in my life. Yeah, and I agree with that. We are not all that powerful as these historical figures, but we can also improve. I know that some of you might be insecure in yourself, might not feel powerful enough, and the key is to fake it till you make it. I love this quote, by the way, because it can transform a person when he seems like to have no space for development. He can actually fake his future state and become a better person. First of all, the body language. Your chin up, always chin up. Your shoulders spread, always, constantly, and you will just feel better in a second. Just do it, and you will feel better just in a second. And if you apply this method for all your life, you will see how your life will change forever. Also, you need to create an image of a confident man, not just to see this stares, see this look at you that might please you, but because when you even fake your confidence, you make people treat you respectively, and that will make you a confident person after. How I applied that in my life. When I was a teenager, I was engaged in mortal combat. I was engaged in mortal sports, in martial arts, and I did Muay Thai. And before every competition, every fight, I was very much insecure. I was very much worried. But as soon as I stepped up into the cage, it all disappeared. All the worry disappeared. All the insecurities disappeared. And since I took the first punch, I felt confident. And not only I felt confident, I felt joy. I felt joy and drive to do something important. And that is what makes a confident man with time. Because putting yourself in dangerous situations, when you're not aware of your future, but you need to act instantly, is what actually makes a confident man. And when you're confident enough to step up, to take up these challenges, you become a different kind of person. And I hope that my speech would just at least just a bit make you inspired enough to take up more challenges in your life and make yourself a better person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mail. Now let's talk about art that actually has no script. It's the art of improvisation. In a world that demands control, predictability, how do we thrive in the unexpected? Whether on stage, in a boardroom, or in everyday life, can we learn to say yes and to uncertainty? Analyzing the mindset of spontaneity, our next speaker is Masumov Ilham Ali Agli. a third-year student of International Economic Relations with his investigation, The Art of Improvisation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'd like to tell you about the art of improvisation. It is kind of obvious for most of you that you have to be confident, you have to be able to control your emotions. But today I'd like to tell you about something else, something not that obvious. Have you ever been asked a question, add something on that theme, or just talk about some topic that you're not prepared for? What do you feel at that moment? Do you feel stressed? Maybe do you feel some anxiety at that moment? I guess most of us do, because at that moment you don't understand what you need to say and how you need to say that. And I basically want to show you that improvisation is part of your daily life. You improvise while choosing clothes in the morning. You improvise while answering a question of your teacher at language class. Now, all you have to do when you feel stressed, when you understand that you don't know what to say, all you have to do is stop. Stop for a second. Just think that you have the full control of the situation. You're in control, and you understand what do you need to do next. You stop for a second, make one breath, and that's all. That's all you have to do to make your audience, to make everyone believe that you do know what you're talking about. That's all you have to do. So the second layer of your perfect speech, perfect improvisation speech, is one point. Yeah, you stick to one point. You try to make your point so obvious, so clear that even the kids, even the kids will understand everything that you're saying. Everyone is gonna understand what you're saying. That's one of the main concerns, because people try to overcomplicate. They're trying to sound witty or smart, but that's not exactly the point while you're trying to improvise. Because improvisation means you don't have time to be too professional. You always should stick to some simple and clear definitions. The third layer of your perfect speech is not flooding, but just adding a little bit examples to your speech. You should show people that you do understand what you're talking about, and that's why, as I did it before, I showed you examples of what improvisation, for example, what improvisation is. At the moment, I just made a mistake. You all have noticed it, but that is the thing. That's another thing that I want to talk about. You all understand that you can make mistakes. You can show people that you are weak at some point, but that doesn't make you a loser. It doesn't make you a failure. You can make mistakes. You can maybe misspell some words. There are people that I really respect, and I am really worried about being not good enough for them at that moment. But still, they're not thinking about you as a failure if you make mistakes. That's why don't be scared to make mistakes, because mistakes happen. Mistake happens. Yes. So the last step, the last layer of your perfect speech is perfect ending. One ending. One ending basically means that you have to make your speech be penetrated by one idea. For example, let's take these ideas. Let's make it seem that this remote control is one idea. It goes through the whole speech. It penetrates the beginning. It penetrates the main part, and it should land exactly at the end. You shouldn't make it different. You shouldn't take, for example, the iPad or iPhone and change it. No, it should be the same. You land your ending, and it should sound as easy as it is possible. Yeah, don't trail off. Don't go into some unnecessary talks and unnecessary ideas. All you have to do to land the first idea that you had at the end. Yeah. So So I'd like to land this idea. All you have to do is raise your four fingers. Raise the 4 fingers, please. Yeah. Raise 4 fingers. Yes. So what you have to do is count to 4. 1, you make 1 breath. 2, you make 1 point at your speech. 3, you make 1 example for your speech. Yeah, and 4, you make 1 ending for your speech. That's all you have to do. Remember that for the rest of your life, and you will be able to speak impromptu without any problems. I believe you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Ilham. So our next speaker reimagines how we experience art. What if a museum exhibition was not a silent display, but a living dialogue? What if paintings, sculptures, or installations could talk back, not in words, but through the visitor's own participation? Welcome to the stage, Jasmine Martirosyan Garikovna, a graduate of the bachelor's program in journalism, with her talk, When Exhibitions Become Conversations.
Hello everyone, today I will tell you about the topic when exhibitions become conversations. So let's start. When you walk through the halls of Tretyakov Gallery, the rules are simple. No talking, no pictures. Anything you want to know is written next to the painting on a little piece of paper, which I assume most of us can barely read. And if you're lucky enough, you can ask someone to tell you about the painting in a way that will probably put you to sleep. But what if I tell you that there is a way to break those rules? There is a way to make exhibitions interesting and exciting. That is exactly what we do at Martimoncello. We are a group of close friends who connect people with different interests and talents. So, this is our team. Now, every 6 months or so, we hold exhibitions of contemporary art, which last from 3 to 5 days. So, why are we called Martimoncello? It's a question that is very commonly asked among everyone, and there is a very touching story connected to that. Well, one of our friends, a few years ago, was in Rome, and it was in March. There, he met a painter from the village San Mancello. He got so inspired by him because the painter talked to him about his life, about his experience, and how art really inspires him. That way, our friend got so inspired that he connected 2 words, March in Russian and Mancello. That's how we got Martimoncello. Now, in the course of 2 years, we held more than 13 different events, and they were practically in very different places. We had a house where we held an action, a place in the center of Moscow with all of your favorite restaurants and cafes. And also, one of my favorite exhibitions was held at an art space that had 3 floors. Well, on one of those floors, you could watch cinema, favorite parts of our favorite movies, and eat some popcorn. And also, there was a room where you can paint anything you want or write anything you want. And actually, there is a very interesting story connected to that room. A young painter got into that room and he wrote a phrase that said, "Believe me, once I will be at your exhibition as an artist." And so, what do you think? 2 months later, we discovered him on social media, and now he became one of our most popular painters. His name is Eric, and these are his works. Well, and we didn't even know that he wrote a quote like that. Now, all of the paintings that we displayed at our exhibition can be actually sold. The prices vary from 100,000 to 100 million rubles. These 2 are the most talked about paintings at our exhibition. The first one, you can see that it's Khinkali, and the second one is called Aul Balkhar. Now, let's start from the Khinkali painting. A guy was hungry, so he painted his favorite food and sold it for 1 million. Well, that's at least how the media portrayed it. Every single Moscow news page posted about this Hinkali painting and the price of it, and everyone argued in the comments whether it's worth it or not. Well, I guess it is because one of them was bought, and I guess food does make you do crazy things. Now, the second painting, which I already talked about, that is called Aul Balkhar, it's about a village in Dagestan, and it's painted by our artist Polina. Now, the most interesting thing about Polina is that she has never been to Caucasus before, like ever. And all of her paintings are about that. This is how she imagines Caucasus. And it's really interesting because all of our visitors from Caucasus come there, and when they see these paintings, they say that they have a lot of culture in them and soul in them, and it's very interesting, coming from an artist who actually has never been there. Now, this brings me to one of our favorite painters from our exhibitions. His name is Yanis. The most interesting thing about him is that he never paints with brushes. He paints with different sticks, tools such as knives, his hands, and so on. On every single painting that you can see, he portrays himself. It's different animals, African prints, faces, and so on. And every single one of them is him. See, now that you know the background of an artist, the painting looks so much more interesting to you. Now, in the course of these 2 years, we've collaborated with different places. Places like Gutai, like Pims. We made desserts with them, drinks with them. We also collaborated with the brand HMGN Paris, where we made clothes together. So these are our collaborations. At our exhibitions, you can meet anyone. Your friends, people from different universities, people you've last seen at school, different singers, artists like Philip Kirkorov, Timothy, and so on. So the point of it all is that different people from different backgrounds can connect with each other. Now, we do a lot of collaborations, DIYs, we do lectures, so anyone who is interested is always welcome. So, what is the point of Martimancello? The whole point is to connect people with different interests together, is to make exhibitions that seemed so boring interesting again. And so we are welcoming anyone who would want to connect with each other through that. Now, our next exhibition is just a few days away. It will be from April 23rd to April 26th, and it will be held at Novy Manege. So we welcome anyone to our exhibition. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoyed everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. So, dear listeners, that is everything we have prepared for you today. We were so happy to see you all here. With you was Let's Talk MGIMO. Thank you for trusting us with your attention, with your time. See you very soon, and now let's take a photo together.